In May 1998, the sands of the Rajasthan desert ruptured. A sudden burst of energy sent violent tremors across the landscape, kicking up massive dust. India had just detonated 5 nuclear devices. Stepping onto the cracked earth of Pokhran, the country declared its ultimate military capacity to the world. Yet, less than a year after this aggressive display of force, the posture shifted completely. A passenger bus left New Delhi, crossing the border into enemy territory. This inaugural journey to Lahore was a massive diplomatic risk for regional stability. The man responsible for both the detonation and the diplomatic crossing was Atal Bihari Vajpayee. Reconciling the commander who arms a nation with the diplomat who boards a bus to a hostile neighbor requires looking beyond conventional politics. This paradox existed because he viewed statecraft through the eyes of a philosopher and a poet. His journey began in the shadow of Gwalior Fort in 1920s central India. Growing up immersed in literature, a young Atal turned to verse to document the daily hardships and quiet dignities of the people living around him. He quickly learned that language on a page carries a kinetic weight. Carefully chosen words could articulate the silent grievances of millions and mobilize a crowd. This literary sensitivity became his political methodology. Instead of viewing constituents as voter blocs, he saw them as individuals with complex narratives. He spent his career anchored to this ground-level reality, maintaining a deep, emotional dialogue with the nation's most vulnerable citizens. He operated with the conviction that governance was a human duty, a perspective born from decades spent observing the lives behind the politics. That moral clarity found its ultimate stage inside the halls of the Indian Parliament. When he spoke, he didn't shout. He relied on deliberate, heavy pauses and a masterful command of Hindi to force the room to listen. Even his most bitter ideological opponents would stop to hear his arguments. His speeches commanded an absolute, reverent silence across the political aisle. In an era defined by brutal partisan combat, his peers bestowed upon him a rare title, the Ajatashatru, the man with no enemies. He earned this by refusing to weaponize personal attacks. He maintained a steadfast dignity, debating policies fiercely without ever degrading his political rivals. His voice stabilized a highly fractured democracy. He proved speech by speech that an unyielding commitment to respect could effectively disarm political aggression. This steady temperament was eventually tested on a global scale when he ascended to the executive leadership as prime minister. The decisions at Pokhran and Lahore were not contradictory. They were the actions of an Ajatashatru, securing his nation's defenses so he could negotiate peace from a position of unquestionable strength. He walked a dangerous diplomatic line, engaging directly in complex bilateral negotiations to untangle decades of historical hostility. Under his watch, the modern Indian state fortified its borders, while simultaneously demonstrating a profound willingness to extend a hand across them. He remained a man of letters throughout his life, bringing a rare sense of poise to the often chaotic business of leading a nation. As his tenure drew to a close, he left a republic more secure in its strength and more confident in its capacity for peace. His legacy confirms that guiding a nation effectively requires the hard power to defend its sovereignty, matched by the poetic wisdom to relentlessly pursue its peace.